Hello, everyone. Since we had a few technical difficulties in the Flat Earth meetup, we decided to do this segment of the meetup in the studio so you guys won't miss the presentation. So it went over great with the live audience. So we're going to do it now so you guys can take advantage of it. This is called the P factor, the phenomenon of the P900. And this is not a camera review, although it looks like it's a camera review. And I eventually want to do some camera reviews. That's going to be fun. But this is just to talk about how the P900 has affected this movement and how it has become an important tool for all of us. Well, for those who have it and for those who benefit from the results of this amazing camera. So, let's get started. First of all, what is a P900? A P900 is a prosumer camera from Nikon called Pics. It is in the Pics line of cameras. And the Pics line of cameras have 156 models in the Pics camera line, which is huge. It started out in 1997 and all the way up until now, 2018. And so what exactly is the P900? In other words, what type of camera is it? Well, let's look at it. A P900 is a bridge camera, okay? So what's the difference in a bridge camera and any other camera? A bridge camera is a middle camera between your traditional point and shoot, all right, that you put in your pocket, and it shoots completely automatic and is made for specifically convenience, all right? So you have here the point and shoot and the DSLR. So the P900 is a bridge between the point and shoot and the DSLR. The advantages of a bridge camera are it gives you all the advantages of a point and shoot, the convenience, the automatic modes, which we'll talk about. It gives you somewhat of a zoom lens. Some point and shoot zoom lenses are longer than others, but the bridge camera will give you those conveniences and in a small package, although the P900 is not small, but still a bridge camera is smaller than this big beast, okay? This is my professional camera I shoot with. I love it. I love big cameras. But the P900 gives you the flexibility of this camera, the DSLR, meaning this camera, you can actually take off the lens, okay? So, and put on more lenses. That's one of the major advantages of this baby. Plus, it can shoot really fast, and it has a lot of advantages to it that's good for professionals and serious amateurs who want to control their photography. So that's what this beauty is meant for. Well, the bridge camera actually has that flexibility, those advantages, but with an important difference. It has the lenses, it has advantages of the lenses, but all built in, okay? So you don't have to buy different lenses for it. So a bridge camera is literally that, a bridge between the point and shoot and the DSLR. All right, so let's move on. All right, so what makes the P900 special? Exclusivity. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that hit me about this camera, okay? It has a 2000 millimeter lens only found on the P900, okay? So this camera has a 2000 millimeter lens. Now, let's get a baseline there. What exactly does that mean? So you have a 50 millimeter lens. A 50 millimeter lens is considered a standard lens. All right. It sees what your eye sees, the proportions that your eye view. All right. So a 50 millimeter lens is the standard. That's considered normal. All right. That's actually a technical term in photography. The only time you will use the word normal is with a 50 millimeter lens. Then everything under the 50 millimeter lens is a wide angle. Okay. So you have 50 millimeter, 35 millimeter, 28 millimeter, and every increment in between that, all the way down to 6. Okay, that's the smallest I've ever heard of. That's a fisheye lens, and we flat earthers know what a fisheye lens is. So the it will give you the wide angle is anything under 50 millimeter. Almost lost my place there, and the anything above 50 millimeter will give you telephoto. All right. So now that you have that baseline, you can see why a 2000 millimeter lens is so amazing. All right. Because it's that far above 50 millimeter. So that kind of gives you a baseline right there. All right. So 2000 millimeter is pretty amazing. All right. So now here's the interesting part. I, as a professional, and I've been shooting for 40 years, okay? I, as a professional, cannot buy a 2000 millimeter lens for this beast, all right? Well, I can, but it's expensive, okay? You will see. It is exceedingly difficult to get. So you would think, oh, I as a professional can get any lens I want. Not necessarily. And that's the beauty and the very interesting thing about this camera. So let's look at these pictures of these various lenses just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. So you have the Nikon 800 millimeter, my wife's personal favorite. Nikon 800 millimeter, $17,000. Beautiful lens. And it's a fixed focal length, meaning it is not a zoom. You cannot zoom in and out. Like with this camera, okay, you can zoom in and out. This camera is at 18 to 135. So you can zoom in and out and see pretty far away in very wide angle. Because remember, 50 millimeter, 18 millimeter, that's a pretty wide angle. Then you get the Sigma 200 millimeter to 200 millimeter to 500 millimeter. All right. That is a $26,000 lens. And if you can see, that guy is about to get a muscle strain holding that thing. All right. So now we go on to the Canon 1200 millimeter lens. You see how big that baby is. All right. So you see the focal lengths getting higher. All right. The Sigma was a zoom lens. It's a beast of a lens, 26 grand. I can't get that number out of my head. 26 grand, all right? So the Canon lens is $180,000. Am I reading that right? Yeah, $180,000, okay? So then you get the Canon 500 millimeter. That's a lot smaller, much smaller focal length, or should I say shorter focal length than the 1200 millimeter. And that's a savings of $11,000. Okay, so so that's a cheap lens. Then you get this one. Okay, that is a 2000 millimeter lens. Now, unfortunately, this photograph doesn't show you the scale. This lens is about that wide. All right. And okay, so it's that wide and about that long, and it has its own separate bracket. If you notice the case, it comes with that case, by the way. It is a beast. You cannot handhold it like this brave gentleman with the Sigma lens. You cannot handhold it, and that is $32,000. That is the only way I can get a 2000 millimeter lens for this camera. Okay, that's the only way I can get it. That lens is very rare, by the way, needless to say. Now, here's the other amazing part of the P900. Its availability. It's a 2000 millimeter lens, and you can get it from any of these stores. And this is just a small spattering of retailers you can get it from. You can get it from many retailers. All right. So you have a camera that with a lens I cannot buy as a pro. Okay. I mean, let's be realistic. 32 grand, I can't buy that. All right. And few people can. Heck, there are large corporations that will not spring for that lens, no matter how much you say you need it. But you can get this 2000 millimeter lens on this camera from all these stores, okay? Plus a whole bunch of others. The availability is amazing. So, what's the other amazing part about the P900? The timing. It came along just as this movement started. Wow, what a coincidence. All right. It came along just as this movement started. So, right on time. Now, here's the interesting part. This lens on this camera was not met with some really good reception with the public. Okay. So what they ended up saying was at the very beginning when this lens first came on the market, wow, 2000 millimeter lens. Wow, that's great. What am I going to use it for? Okay, most people didn't know what to use a 2000 millimeter lens. Now, there are other bridge cameras with very long lenses, 800 millimeter, 1250 millimeter. I mean, if you look, Panasonic makes one, Sony makes one. There are several bridge cameras and they all look about the same, just like this with a nice grip on it and everything. They all look the same. None of them are as big as this one, though. They're all significantly smaller, and their lens is significantly shorter. But the difference is this thing is a 2000 millimeter lens, plus with some excellent controls on the camera. The flexibility of the camera, bar none, it really beats out most of the other cameras. I know I sound like a salesman, but it really is true. So at the beginning, when this first came out, it didn't get very good reception. And then all of a sudden, boom, the sales start going through the roof. Why? Because in 2015, this movement became, Flat Earth became a movement. It was going through its resurgence. It did not start in 2015. I am not saying that, everyone, all right? It just, the resurgence of it started in 2015. This has been going on since the 1800s. Okay, a very vigorous fight in the 1800s over this topic. All right, the heliocentrist and the geocentric flat earthers were in a heavy debate going on many decades. So, starting at 2015 was the resurgence of this movement when people started to find out that the scientific community had basically been lying to us. And this camera helped us discover that. All right. That's why I'm talking about it in this way. This became a tool so that we can see our world better than we ever have before. And we did not have to take someone's word for it. Okay. So why is the 2000 millimeter lens so amazing? And the reason for that is just what I said. Now we can truly see our world. All right. Whereas before we had to depend on others and we just had to take their word for it because they were wearing white coats and they had many degrees and tenure in giant universities and papers and grants and stuff like that. So we just took their word for it. Now we don't. Okay. That's the beautiful thing about this camera. The amazing part about it is this camera even exists, okay? That's the amazing part about it, that this camera actually exists. So, talk about that in a few minutes. So, all right, let's move on. So now we see here with this, okay, we can shoot stuff like this. Now this is just something I shot in my front yard. It's a little shaky, I did it by hand, all right? Because this is my first time using the camera. But look at the waves going through that star. All right? Look at the waves going through that. Okay? It looks like it's underwater. Yet when NASA shoots this, and when the other when people shoot it with traditional telescopes, why is it that stars they've never looked like that before? Okay? That's because this lens is actually more powerful than many telescopes you can buy out there. In order to get a telescope comparable to this lens, you're going to have to spend a good deal of money. This camera is $600. $600. All right? Most of us can afford this. Okay? So we have seen things through this camera that others have not been able to record. So this camera gives us the freedom to not just accept what people say, but verify. Now we can actually verify what we see. All right. So then you get the traditional, all right, you get the traditional scene that's well known to us flat earthers, and that is shooting bolts on the horizon, which we have proven with this camera over and over and over and ad nauseum, over and over again, that the ships going over the horizon have nothing to do with curvature. Nothing to do with curvature. It's all perspective. And we can prove that with this camera all day long. Now, of course, you can do that with other cameras, like the other bridge cameras that have the shorter lenses. Heck, you can prove that with a set of nice binoculars. Come to think of it, you can prove that with your cell phone. All right? But this camera makes it a whole lot easier. No questions asked. That video has happened over and over again. I shot that in Lake Erie. Okay? Ninth Pier, Lake Erie. So, again, don't accept, verify. This camera gives us the ability to do that. So now we have the P1000. So this big baby has been upgraded severely. All right, so what's different? Okay, the P1000 has a 3,000 millimeter lens. Now we can see even more. All right, the P1000 has a hot shoe. For some reason, a lot of people ignore that. The P900, try not to drop these. The P900 did not have a hot shoe, which as a professional, that was a bit of a downer, but I got it anyway because the camera was just so amazing. I just had to deal with it. But now it has a hot shoe. Why is that a strong advantage? When you're shooting video, you can put a video light on it, okay? You can put a video light on it. Or you can put another sound system on it. The P1000 actually has a really good mic on it. A stereo mic is really good, and it's a telescopic stereo mic. So you can actually set how far you want it to record, close up or far away, which is cool. But if you choose to use another mic, you can actually use one with the P1000. Whereas with this camera, you couldn't do that. The P1000 also has a tougher construction. It's heavier duty, okay? So it can take a bit more of a beating. I mean, just the thought of beating that camera, handling it in a rough way is disturbing. But it can handle it, all right? Even better. It shoots RAW. Okay, now let me just show you what RAW is. This is an original photograph, okay? So this is a RAW photograph, or should I say a photograph shot in the format of RAW without any editing, all right? Now this is the same photograph with editing. So RAW gives you ability to bring out more colors. You get a sharper image, a bigger image. It's just an all-around better format. But you have to edit, okay? You have to be able to edit. So it would kind of force you to edit your photographs because you can't just shoot a RAW and then send it someplace online. You have to edit it and then transform, or should I say export it into a JPEG or Photoshop or something like that. But RAW is better. Pros use RAW. So all you guys out there using the P1000, learn how to use RAW. Now, it will shoot JPEG. The P900 only shot JPEG, okay? Which, you learn to deal with, okay? But the P1000 shoots RAW and JPEG. So, but learn to shoot RAW. We'll go over that in later lessons, all right, to tell you the benefits of that. Much better EVF. meaning electronic viewfinder right here. It's larger and it actually sticks further out on the camera so your nose isn't smashed up against the LCD. And it has a higher resolution. Okay, so it's just a much better electronic viewfinder. It has a larger LCD. So see here, it has a larger LCD. All right, so this is the P900's LCD, and it has it's 3 inches. All right, but the P1000 has 3.2. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually pretty significant when you look at it. It's just much more real estate to look at, and that's just always better. It shoots 4K video. Now the P900 shoots beautiful HD, but the P1000 shoots 4K, which is 4 times bigger than traditional HD, which is 1920 by 1080. All right. Yeah, I can't say anything about that. That's just awesome. I've seen some of the results, and it's just beautiful. Okay, so 4K, awesome improvement. All right, so now we have also, it comes with a hood. All right, this sounds pretty irrelevant, okay? But try to find a hood for the P900. Good luck. And if any of you have, send me an email or something on Facebook or whatever. Let me know where you found one, because I can't find one. All right. But the P1000 comes with a tulip hood similar to this, and this goes to this big baby here. All right. So what it does is it goes to the front, okay, connects to the front like a bayonet mount, and what it does is it stops light from coming in and causing flare on your lens, okay, and it also protects your lens from any types of bumps that you may hit it with by mistake or whatever. But it actually comes with a hood. That's awesome, okay, because then you don't have to run around looking for one like I did and failing miserably. Oh, I forgot. The hot shoe also gives you ability. Let's go back a little bit. The hot shoe gives you the ability also to put a flash on your camera. Now, the P900 comes with a flash, as you know, a pop-up flash, and actually it's a really good pop-up flash. It's the best one I have ever seen, okay? Because pop-up flashes are usually pretty lousy. It's better than the pop-up flash on this big beast, okay? This pop-up flash shoots about 10 feet, you know. But this one shoots like around 15, 16 feet, which is pretty cool, okay? But now you can use a hot shoe flash, okay? You can use this type of flash on it. So that's significant, because with this flash, you can actually control your light by bouncing it, all right? That is important, okay? Now, this isn't going to help you with a 2,000 millimeter lens, but it will help you with other things that you want to use the camera for, because you can use it for more than just scientific experiments. You can do all kinds of stuff, nature photography, portrait photography, all kinds of stuff, you know, with the P1000. So if you buy a flash with it, you just increase your flexibility tenfold. All right, flash is important. Okay, so the other thing that it does is it has a wireless remote. Okay, now it doesn't come with the wireless remote, but you can get it for like $50. I've actually seen it for $44. Okay, it's a pretty reasonable price, but that remote increases your flexibility big time, because when you're using a telephoto lens, any type of shake, I mean extreme telephoto that this thing has, and especially the P1000, if you have any type of shake, just using the shutter release, okay, it's going to show up. And that's irritating, all right? Like you saw my shaky star over there, all right? This remote will enable you to use your zoom, go through the menus, shoot stills, shoot video. It does all kinds of cool stuff. You see all the buttons on that thing, all right? It's only $50, $44, $50, all right? You can get a remote for this one, but it has one button and it only shoots stills. It does not shoot video, and that's really irritating. Okay, so as you can see, a lot of major improvements here on the P1000. One of my favorite upgrades is the focusing ring. If you notice, the P900 does not have one. You have to actually use the rear dial, the command dial, for the focusing ring, and that's a bit awkward. You get used to it, but it's a bit awkward. And for us flat earthers, shooting stars, you have to use manual focus, and that is crucial. Now the P1000 has a large manual focusing ring right on the front where it belongs, and that's from the old days. Remember the old days? See this old baby here, this old Canon? All lenses back then had a focusing ring, and so that you could focus. Well, this is the focusing ring actually, and actually no, this is the focusing ring. This is the focusing ring, and you had to focus by hand, and it was very convenient. Once autofocus came along, the focusing ring started to slowly disappear, but now the P1000 has a focusing ring right in the front, and it's a big fat gnarly ring similar to this one, so you can easily focus on those stars. Focusing autofocus on stars is a pain, so the focusing ring now on the P1000 is just wonderful. Now it'll be a lot easier to shoot stars. Let's look at the automatic modes. Okay, the automatic modes, the automatic picture modes are really interesting. Here's a bunch of dials from a whole bunch of different cameras, and automatic modes are not uncommon. The P1000, the P900 has it. Okay, it has some automatic modes here. And so I just looked at the history of automatic modes. All right, so you got a party mode, which is different. I've never heard of that. You have the kids and pets mode. That's also different. Sunset, beach and snow, underwater, backlight, a night foliage, landscape, portrait. Those are all common. Foliage, though, that's different for me. I've never seen that one. Fireworks. I think I have seen that one. Night scene, sports, panoramic stitch. Those are just examples of the common and some uncommon picture modes. All right, and there's been many others. This is a pretty good example of what has been out there in the history of cameras, period. All right, here's the interesting part. The P1000 has a moon mode. I have never heard of a moon mode. Now, I'm a gadget guy. If you've noticed, I'm a gadget guy, all right? I love gadgets, okay? But I've never heard of a moon mode. Never, okay? P900 doesn't have it. It has all the traditional modes. Let's see here. It has landscape, it has night portrait, it has a night scene so you can shoot at night. And then it has a scene mode where it actually chooses what automatic mode that the camera thinks is best for your scene. But it doesn't have a moon mode. In all the years of my shooting, I've never heard of a moon mode. Okay, the closest I've heard is like an astronomy mode where you can shoot stars and the movement of the stars. The P900 will actually do that. Okay, but I've never heard of a moon mode. I have a friend of mine that was a master salesman of Pics cameras and a whole bunch of other cameras. As a matter of fact, his biggest client was NASA. He sold NASA cameras like this, only far more expensive than this one. Okay, he sold them big Nikon cameras that they destroyed routinely. It's very interesting. So he kept selling them boxes of these. Okay, but he would also sell Pics cameras to consumers, and he would actually teach them to use the cameras. And I called him and asked him, in all his career, has he ever heard of a moon mode? He said, nope, never heard of it. I've never sold a camera with a moon mode. Now, I researched Pics. Pics has never had it, and I've never seen it on any other manufacturer. All right, so What does that tell you? Now, I know some people say, well, it's just a coincidence, right? Okay, is it? At this point, after 3 years of going through this movement, learning all these things, learning that Genesis is actually real, learning that space doesn't exist, learning all these amazing things, at this point in my life, I'm past just ignoring things. I'm past just saying, wow, that's just a coincidence, okay? I've never heard of a moon mode until now. This camera didn't start selling until this movement started. Come on, let's do a little math here. What does that tell you? Okay, that tells you that they put that moon mode in P1000 because of us, because of this. Okay, the flat Earth movement. That's why. So, what does that tell you? We're making a difference out there. Nikon is a huge company. I'm sorry, I don't have any statistics on me, but wait, okay, there, okay. Nikon has made that much money. All right, so they are a huge company. All right, so because of us weirdos, all right, because of this weird little movement, we have caused this giant conglomerate to put in a moon mode so that they can sell their camera better. So they can sell more of their cameras to us. They discovered a market. Like any other good business, you discover a market, you pursue that market. You try to ingratiate yourself on that market, okay? And what they did was they put a moon mode. All right? So we made an effect. We actually are making a difference. If any of you think that this movement isn't making a difference and it's fizzling out, I think not. If Nikon is actually rebuilding one of their best-selling cameras because of us. Okay? So, what's my conclusion? First of all, look at the difference between the two. You have the P1000 on the top here, and you have the P900. Look at them. They're huge. I mean, it's a huge difference in size. Like I said, I love big cameras. So those of you that want a little teeny camera, not going to happen here. Not with a 2,000 millimeter lens. So what's my conclusion? My conclusion is the relationship of the biblical truth, the realization of the biblical truth of our world has been a massive gift of knowledge for those who are willing to hear it. This camera has made that gift of knowledge easier to listen to, easier to grasp, easier to understand. This camera has come along for such a time as this. All right? This camera is a gift. This camera is a gift to all of those who are willing to understand, for all of those who are willing to embrace this truth for what it is, for what it obviously is, and not ignore it because they're caught up in the preconditioning. All right? This camera has given us the ability to not just accept, but verify. Don't accept, verify. Okay? That's what this camera has done. So, am I saying buy the P900? I mean the P1000? Oh, definitely. All right? Because it's a major upgrade to this camera. One more thing, too. The one thing that I don't like about this camera is the processor. It's a tiny little processor. All right? If you notice here, you can see the different sizes of processor. And you see where the P900 falls. Okay? But because it can shoot RAW, they have taken that processor and used it to its max. And you can see the sharpness that you can get from this camera. Okay? Now it's even better. The processor has not enlarged. It's the same processor as the P900. The P1000 is the same processor. But they're utilizing the technology far better, far more efficient. So it's still worth buying. I'm definitely going to get one. Okay, not easy getting the P1000 because it's selling like crazy. Okay, but if you can, grab one. I definitely will. And I will be doing a camera review on the P1000 compared to the P900 as soon as I get mine. So thank you so much for listening. And don't accept, verify.